Hey, everybody, welcome to our first podcast. This is the Sitdown with DC and Rod615. And I just want to go over a little news that we had from this week, over the weekend. Definitely want to go into new news where Disney is planning on going up on the subscription price for Disney Plus. And then, of course, there was the Montgomery Riverboat Brawl, whatever they want to call that. That was insane. And then I just want to talk about July being the hottest month on record, and we definitely felt that here in Tennessee. But first of all, I kind of want to just get into the boring stuff first. But I think it has a bigger effect on the economy as a whole. So Disney Plus, I think it says here, they're planning on boosting revenues by charging up to 27% more for subscriptions. So, of course, Disney Plus, that's where you have what's on there? All the Marvel movies.
Marvel, yeah.
Of course, we have all of the classic Disney movies. You even got new stuff like Moana, and my little baby girl burns through that. I know about every line in that movie. But there's that. There's just a lot that Disney has kind of bought up. And I kind of wanted to feel this off of you just from I guess, a more worldly standpoint. What do you think this means just for streaming services and for cable TV? Because I also read that Disney is doing that to kind of help with their dwindling cable TV revenues. So just tell me, what do you think about that? What have you been seeing just looking out at the economy in terms of just new streaming services coming about?
Well, at this point, dude, cable TV is basically on these streaming platforms. There are new episodes
All
coming
right.
out every single week. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I've been watching myself that new iCarly that came out.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's kind of strange, but very interesting. And that comes out every single week as with a new episode. So cable's basically, I mean, you have sports, but sports on streaming apps too. So if what Disney Plus is doing is basically just giving it the green light to every other service to probably
Okay.
take their pitch as well. Down the line, of course, but
Yeah. Well, I guess I kind of have the same view on that. I guess the biggest thing for me is, and I've noticed this even, I have a YouTube channel, Nothing But Car Reviews. So I got about 42,000 subscribers on there. And I'll notice a lot of people, if I don't post in 2 or 3 days, are like, hey, we missed you.
uh-huh.
And it's just crazy how we've just kind of slowly evolved into having everything on this. Like your TV shows are on here. You can watch some of your favorite stuff on Facebook. You have, of course, the streaming platforms. But it really just makes it, as we become more of a mobile society, we're working more hours. I feel like we're traveling less, we're sitting down less, and we're really spending less time talking to each other and more time on our devices. It's just another way for these companies to kind of get their way. And especially with ad revenue for YouTubers and things of that nature, and you get that on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all of that. Somebody's trying to pay so that they can get their product or what they want to sell in front of the consumer. It is interesting. And then, I mean, even you even see it now. 20 years ago, everybody knew who Brad Pitt was. Like that was an actor. Nowadays, you got the Charlie, whatever her name is, or whatever. And that was probably yesterday. It's probably somebody else out now who's just out here getting their 15 seconds of fame. And it's just so many ways to do that. And I think it's good because it allows a lot of other people who wouldn't normally have a chance to make something of themselves. It allows them to do that, whether it's with streaming, whether it's with just having your own YouTube channel, selling your own products, having your own website, making your own subscriptions, products, everything like that. I think it's a good opportunity, but it also just makes it so. I feel like it was less cutthroat, and I may get some slack for saying this, but 10 or 15 years ago when you had to compete with George Clooney, Brad Pitt, because the roles that they didn't get, you had other people that you hadn't heard of get those roles, but now there's so many roles and there are so many people who have easy access. All they need is a viral video. All they need is a TikTok song to blow up, and then all of a sudden they're off to the races and they're getting deals left and right. And you're right. I feel like the cable companies are seeing that and taking advantage of it. And it's interesting because you used to have there were gatekeepers, and now it's like the gate is basically Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. That's
Twitter.
all it is.
All that junk,
Twitter,
yeah.
yeah, and it's just so easy because you can just post whatever for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, you have to abide by their regulations or whatever, but they're not that stiff.
Mm-mm.
And really, the only way you ever get blocked on something is if enough people complain about it.
Yep.
So, I mean, that's a whole nother issue there just with freedom of speech. But, yeah, it's nice. I think for the average consumer who is not creating, it's more difficult because you do have people who have not gotten raises in years.
Mm-hmm.
If they had a job through COVID, things of that nature, and then I'm having to pay basically to have 5 streaming platforms, same as my old cable bill was, and I still don't get all of my shows. I mean, you have them on demand, but I mean, Netflix gone up, Disney's gone up. I don't know if Paramount has yet, and it just goes to show what all I have. I think I have Hulu, and half the stuff you don't even use, but you're paying for it every month, and it's just a new way for people to always have their hand in your pocket.
Mm-hmm.
It used to be like, if you didn't watch this channel, you didn't see this ad, or you weren't helping these people have numbers through whatever outlets they use to track that information, then you weren't helping them.
Mm-hmm.
And nowadays, it's all ad dollars are just based on who sees it because everybody has money.
Mm-hmm.
If you're watching it, they're assuming they're going to take their chances to show you something for 1/10 of a penny.
Yep.
And that might turn into a $20 sale, a $500 sale. So it's very interesting, but I'm eager to see, and this kind of gets me into a point I wasn't necessarily going to touch on, but just inflation in general.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I feel like all this stuff is going up, and you're getting inflation from the regulatory agencies. So whether that's the Fed Bank, whether that's China, I think they're going into deflation now. I just read that. And I think for Americans, it's going to be very interesting because I feel like everybody who has money are definitely people that are migrating like east from California or south down from New York or even up from Florida, which you're not seeing a lot of that because, you know, they don't have a state income tax like Tennessee does. But a lot of people are coming here because it's just so much cheaper to live here.
Mm-hmm.
But then also, you got to think the people that are living here, all their costs are going up due to all these new people here. And you can take that for what it is, maybe make some money selling your house, but eventually it's going to be stagnant, I think. Just the housing market in general. And a lot of people aren't calling for a recession, but once everybody leaves California, and I think California is going to end up being like, oh, we got to do something here. But then what are we going to do? Like, I see it now already. Houses that were selling in a day are now on the market for 3 or 4 months because interest rates are so high.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody, the middle class is still the biggest economy in the country. Like, it's still the largest number of people, I think, in the country. And once they stop buying because they can't afford to, you're going to have some problems.
Mm.
But, yeah, I just kind of wanted to touch on that because I think it has a lot to do with basically what we're talking about there. But also, going into the next topic, what about this heat? Gosh.
Man.
I mean, we work outside, so I want to kind of, how you been feeling out there?
Honestly, today, as opposed to last, who was it? Last week wasn't the worst, but the 2 weeks previous before that,
Oh my gosh, yeah.
well, literally it was like 90 degrees by like 10 a.m. I didn't think we were going to make it, you know what I mean? I know people in Texas are probably like, yeah, whatever. Yeah, I get it, but down here in Tennessee and this dry heat, dude, like, you just, it's pretty rough.
Yeah, it's humid. It's freaking humid out here, man. It's just unreal. And I think what's insane is, obviously this is the hottest month on record, but I don't remember there being this much rain either.
Yeah.
It kind of feels almost like the end of days to me because it's either raining or the sun is out and you're melting.
Mm-hmm.
It's just absolutely wild. But I think, well,
I know the seasons are changing a little bit too. Each season's always got a different little twist to it. So
yeah,
I know I figured this summer was gonna have a lot of storms to it, and you know, a lot of, you know what I mean, a lot of downpours.
Well, you know, I got that RV and that roof is leaking really bad. So of course this is like the worst rain we've had. It's just so humid. There are wasp nests in there. It's just, they won't finish my car though. I'm gonna leave that alone. I don't want to touch on that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's I think it's interesting because I really don't think people realize that the Earth is like a living, breathing ecosystem where we have more people than we've ever had on the planet. We have more gas-powered vehicles. We have electricity being put out to more people. Obviously, people are living longer. People are using more. People want their comforts, especially in, countries like this, United States, Britain, and even places like China where they're not necessarily, I don't think they're as fancy as we are, but they still have the people that are using the resources. And even if they're not necessarily driving Teslas, they're still driving vehicles that burn fuel, that use natural resources. And I don't know what's going to dry up the fossil fuels or the planet, honestly, because it's the hottest month on record. And people are still out here just acting like it's not a big deal. And, maybe you think that God got you, or when Jesus comes back, that's when the world's going to end. But I'm really afraid for our future, especially having a kid myself now, because we don't know as it gets hotter and it's 112, 113 degrees outside. And I read something that like a third of the planet is going to be like almost deathly hot in the next 40 or 50 years due to climate change. And of course, I don't think it's 100% man-made, but I think man is helping speed up what's coming, whether that's an ice age or whatever it is. So I'm worried about that. I definitely recommend, if you can, to kind of get resources available to you, whether it's solar panels, whether it's having a well or whatever, because when stuff hits the fan, it's gonna affect the working class. Yeah, that's the first group that's gonna see it, and I think those are the ones that are gonna panic the most. And everybody who's been accumulating all of this wealth, everybody's gonna come for you at that point. Right now, it's not really a big thing, but eventually, when push comes to shove, it's gonna be like freaking zombie apocalypse out here.
Yeah.
And I don't want to scare anybody with that, but that's just what I'm afraid is coming for us, because I feel like greed is getting greedier, and then you have more and more people who don't have enough to survive. That's going to catch up to the rest of us, and I'm just afraid for that. I know a lot of people are getting their guns together, whatever. I'm just trying to be self-sufficient, be out where nobody can find me. And that's the kind of stuff I'm trying to be on there. But yeah, hottest month on record, man, this July. Just with the humidity, the rain, just the heat waves, just insane. Absolutely insane. But I think the last topic we were going to talk about was, we wanted to say the best for last, the Montgomery Riverboat Brawl. Now, I know you sent me that video. That was crazy. Kind of go into what all came about there.
Man.
Just from the video.
Just from the video, from what I'd seen, because I don't know the beginning and the end story. But from what I noticed, it just seemed like security guards trying to move these folks' boat.
I think it was the co-captain, wasn't it?
The co-captain was? Wow,
yeah,
that's ridiculous.
That was what was crazy to me. Like, the co-captain of a boat. It wasn't just security guard. Literally, he went off the boat, and I found this out today. He was a co-captain, came off of the boat, and then everything else started. But, yeah, go ahead and keep going.
Yeah, I did not know that information either, but, hey, it's probably just some folks that are just out of their mind who thought they could bring back old times. You know what I mean?
They started assaulting them, didn't they?
Yeah, I mean, they were started beating on them, throwing them on the ground. Like, one dude tried to put him in a chokehold, and then, yeah. If you're just watching the video, you just all just kind of just comes together, you know what I mean? You're just watching it, it just seems like terrible and awful. You're just like, oh my god, where is this going? And then the video just takes a crazy turn. Yeah. And so the events of that were it was very interesting. I'll put it that way. You know, I liked it personally, but I don't really want to, you know what I mean, make my whole ideal of it, like, you know, like cement to, you know, our viewers and whatnot. But me personally, I enjoyed it. I felt like them people got what they had coming to them. You know what I mean? That makes no sense. They're probably drunk, like I said, but hey, you know, you just can't do that. For one, tag team on one person like that, like, yeah, y'all kind of had that coming. You know what I mean? They just kept on going with it, and they kind of found out what happens. You know what I mean?
And somebody who was doing their job too, and that's really, I think, what affected a lot of people. Obviously, it was white on black crime to start out with, and I don't want to sugarcoat it, because I feel like there's too much of that going on here. Especially whether you lean to the left or the right, I get tired of people who make these false equivalencies, and I feel like that was one thing where America has kind of showed that we can all come together. I think you saw a lot of people who 98% of the time would side with the police on anything just because somebody didn't comply to whatever. And they were like, that guy was doing his job. Period. Like, there was no reason for that. They got what was coming to him. And I know there were a few, one in particular I saw was, they got on the Marlon Wayans because they thought that he sided with the Brawlers or something because they said that we shouldn't. I don't know what happened, but anyways, I think kind of what everybody was trying to reiterate was just the people that were in the pontoon boat who started that. Like, that was obvious. It was obvious who started it, and they kind of got what was coming to them because somebody's trying to do their job. They're not being violent with you. Hey, you know that we go here. You've been sitting here in the way, and then you want to jump somebody, and then when everybody starts coming to the rescue, they want to run. And they got, I wish they would have gotten more of it because somebody need to beat some sense into them because that doesn't make any sense. I don't care how intoxicated you were or whatever, but you don't put hands on somebody who is trying to do their job and you're on the wrong. And you want to talk about try that in a small town. They got what was coming to them. They tried that in a city, and that didn't work out well for them. So, I think kudos to everybody who helped out there. I think it did end up getting a little out of hand, but obviously the Sixers, how many people were on that boat? They just kept on trying to fight everybody. Even if, after it became 100 on 6 or whatever it was, they were still trying to fight. And then, shout out to that folding chair, man.
Oh, yeah.
That was, I don't condone violence at all. I really don't. I don't think there's in a civilized society like this, we should be able to solve all of our issues by talking it out. Now, obviously, the 1 or 2% of the time, like this situation, that had it coming, but my man with the folding chair was putting in work.
Oh, yeah.
I know he was tired after they put him in them handcuffs. People were saying that was for all the ancestors the past 200-300 years or whatever. That stuff had me rolling. Just all the memes, all the comments, but that was an interesting situation. I think it was nice again to see that America as a whole came together. And
Yes.
This is not how you treat people, especially when you're 100% wrong.
Yes.
And I didn't see anything racist or anything in the comments that I read. I'm sure there's some out there, but not as much as I usually see, like in other posts where there's a very gray line, a barely gray line, let me put it that way, and people take that little piece of gray line and run with it, saying he should have complied after he complied 8 out of 9 times. The 9th time he didn't, he got killed. And they're like, he should have done that when he said to put his hands behind his back and then do a cartwheel or all that other stuff. So I'm glad that we kind of all came to this point and we saw, hey, this was wrong, and hopefully the people face justice who did this, and this can kind of be a lesson for all of us to not, first of all, we should all know not to bother anybody that's trying to do their job. And that's with the police, that's with a co-captain of a boat, that's with anybody. When people are just doing their job, they're doing what they are paid to do. Unless they abuse their powers or whatever, we shouldn't be mad at them for doing what they're supposed to do.
Agreed.
Nobody comes to your job and let's say you're selling cars and then tells you, hey, you know what, you're a piece of crap because you sell cars or something like that, or punches you in the face when you're trying to tell them how much the car costs. Just crazy stuff like that. And I feel like certain industries get it more than others, but that video was that was something else.
Yeah, definitely got it saved. Definitely.
Oh man. Well, we're gonna try and stay on this and kind of update with just what we see in the news, what we see out in our daily lives, and just kind of put it out there. So if y'all have any questions or want to put your piece out there, make sure you comment, like the video, dislike if you hate it, and we'll try and put out a lot more content like this and just kind of get a dialogue going. I feel like there's room for debate, and I want to hear other people's opinions. I'm not a Democrat, I'm not a Republican, I'm not Green Party, I'm not a Libertarian, I'm just an American, So I kind of want to, even people who aren't from America, I want to hear your stories. I want to connect with you and kind of, just make the world a better place. So again, thank you all for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.